Miss Armstrong is not here. Oh, wait. Shh, stay in there. She's not here. Check my pockets. Okay, so finally, done with Unit 1, done with Unit 1B. We are officially on to Unit 2. We are doing scale drawings. Bless you. It's very rare. Let's go back a little bit. I am cocky. I know. Surprise. Surprise, surprise. I think I'm good at what I do. It's very rare where I say, hey, I might need some help. This morning I said, hey, how'd you start this lesson? Because when I've taught scale drawings, we did them very, very differently in geometry. Again, I've taught 6th, 7th, 8th grade math. I've taught algebra, I've taught geometry. I've taught algebra 2, I've taught pre-calc. I've taught all these other subjects. 7th grade math is the one that I haven't taught the most. I haven't. So I said, hey, how did you start this? And she said, well, this is what I did. And I said, I'm going to use it, but I still got to put my own twist on it. So let's start with this. Where have you seen scales before as far as, oh, Maddie's like, no, I got this. You don't even need to finish, Mr. H. Go.
When we use them with the triangles.
Okay, that's all right. Owen?
In geography,
Okay, keep going. What do you mean by in geography?
on the maps, like they have a scale to tell you how far everything is.
Yeah. So on maps, because what I want you to do is understand why we are doing this to start. Okay? So Owen said, in geography, and then he said on maps. So let's give an example. If I opened up a map of, let's even go Missouri, is there any possible way that I can have the actual distance on this map from Kansas City to St. Louis? I would have to open up the map a lot to have the actual distance, because it's more than a couple inches, right? So what do they do on a map to show the distance? Like, because you said you have a scale on a map, but what do you mean?
It's like you, in between like each coordinate, it tells you how far apart each coordinate is.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is you might have something that looks like this. That says 1 centimeter is 20 miles. Something like that? Has everybody seen a map? Because when you open up your geography book and you say, how far are they? You don't really know just by looking at it, because from Kansas City to like St. Louis is like 200 and some odd miles. We can't open, oh bless you, we can't open up a book 200 and some odd miles. So they put in what's called scales. Another way to draw this is to say 1 centimeter for every 20 miles. Another way to draw this is to say 1 to 20. Okay? So let me go another way with it. My father owned a painting business for years upon years upon years upon years upon years. There's a lot of things my dad was and dad is. My dad didn't start off as smart with math. He wasn't. He wasn't a good mathematician. He painted back in the day when paint fumes weren't so good for you. But he did a really good job. And he learned to be good at math because he opened his own business and he said, okay, I've got these blueprints. Because what happened is Jobs would send him out blueprints of buildings, like the school, and say, okay, tell me how much it's going to cost to paint. If I'm using paint A in all the rooms, paint B in the ceilings, paint C out in the hallways, how much is it going to cost? Well, they can't give them a blueprint and say, here's how big everything is. They had a scale like this as well. So on blueprints, which people still use, except now they're on computers, you might have something like 1 inch for 5 feet. Okay, another way to show that was 1 to 5. The first job I ever had with my dad was as an estimator, which means I got blueprints, I had to find the scales, and I had to figure out exactly how big the rooms were. Okay? Scale drawings are used still to this day in a lot of different things. Okay? Oh, bless you. Now, what are we going to start off by using scales with? Just to see if something gets bigger or smaller. Okay? So we are going to use the word dilations. Okay? We will eventually get back to these scales, but today we're just going to talk about the figures themselves. Rebecca, what or when have you ever heard the word dilate? You got glasses, right? Have you gone to the eye doctor before? Did they have to put those drops in your eyes? What did those drops do? What did those drops do? Did it make your eyes kind of hurt a little bit, right? Everything got blurry? What happened to your pupils?
They got bigger.
Yeah, they got bigger. They let in a lot of light. Okay? Dilating means if we shut off the light right now and we were able to see each other's eyes, our pupils would get real big. We turn that light back on, they shrink. That's called dilating, getting big and getting small like that. So in geometry terms, a dilation is a figure either enlarging or reducing by a common scale factor. And we're going to underline the word scale factor. Again, today is just really getting everything in there. We're going to start later with doing the mathematical portion. But you're going to hear the word scale factor. Okay, so with scale, or let me try this again, with dilations, they're either getting bigger or smaller. Does it say anything about turning it on its side? Does it say a figure either enlarging or reducing and turning on its side? Does it say a figure either enlarging or reducing and flipping? Does it say a figure either enlarging or reducing and sliding all over the place? No. It's either getting bigger or smaller. So here's some examples. Let's start with this. Here's the letter F. This is going to be what we call the original. Another name for the original is the pre-image. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a couple F's. And you're going to tell me, hey, I think that's getting bigger, smaller, or it's not a dilation at all. Okay? So we've got a couple different choices. So here's my original. We've got choice 1, choice 2, choice 3, choice 4, choice 5. You want to copy those down. Can we see all those? Heck yeah, we can. I want you to talk it over with the people around you and say, hey, I think one is a dilation. It's doing this, it's not doing this. I want you to talk to the people around you and say, hey, I think it's getting bigger, smaller. I don't think it's a dilation. Whatever you think without me having to tell you yet, I want you to try to figure out what's going on. Just with those three pictures. Go ahead, talk it over.
One's a dilation because it's only getting bigger.
The other one's
Yeah.
backwards.
It's not dilation because it's smaller. It's on its own side. Number 4 is backwards. So it's not. It isn't a dilation. Number 5, there's no number 6. It's bigger, so the dilation. I'm tall with a teeth. We must find Z dilation. We must find Z dilation for the universe is.
Okay, talk to me about number 1. So bless you. Talk to me about number 1. Miss Ross, what do you think about, bless you, stop that now. I'm trying to teach. Come on now. Miss Ross, tell me about number 1. Okay, so it got bigger. Do you remember what we call that? Okay, it's going to be a dilation, but it has a specific name if it gets bigger. So number 1 is going to be called an enlargement. Okay? It's called an enlargement. It got bigger. It didn't flip. It didn't rotate. It didn't do anything besides take the same exact figure and change the size. Gosh darn it, Izzy. Okay. If I sneeze, oh man, so much snot's going to come out. Okay. No, I'm not going to sneeze yet. Number 2, Lydia. What do you think about number 2?
I don't think it's
Not A?
dilation.
Okay. Why?
Because it's slanted.
Yeah. So this is not a dilation because it turned. It has to be the same exact figure, but bigger or smaller. Is this the same exact figure? No. And I'm going to use Lydia's exact words, slanted on its side. That's absolutely not allowed to happen. Okay, let's see. Mr. Lamborn, are you ready, sir? Huh? Yeah, really? Okay, that's nice. It's Monday. I'm never ready. 3.
I think it's reducing because it's getting smaller.
Okay, so it is a dilation. Instead of saying reducing, it is reducing. We call that a, everybody want to try to take a guess?
Reduced.
No?
Reduced.
Reduction, very good. So this is yes, it is a reduction. Everybody with me? Pretty easy, right? Okay. Number 4, Miss Williams. Do you think it will be a dilation? Why not? Yeah, it's backwards. Okay? It changed the shape. Here's F. Here's a backwards F. Those aren't the same. It didn't just change size. It did change size, but it also changed the direction. So no changed direction. How about number 5? What about number 5? Ms. Thompson, what do you think for number 5? Oh, very good. It's an enlargement. So again, yes, it is an enlargement. Very good. Okay? Now, it's one thing to see our pictures and just say, hey, that's getting bigger, that's getting smaller. I know it's an enlargement, I know it's a scale factor, I know it's a reduction. I don't know who did it, it's going to sit there. But the tougher portion is that last part of that definition where it says, by a common scale factor. So let's talk about what a scale factor is. Peek. It's like a Spider-Man thing. Wow. It's my video, I can do that. So, what is a scale factor? And we're going to go in very broad terms, but a scale factor. Okay? Is a ratio. A ratio is a comparison of numbers. Is a ratio that lets us know if a figure is getting bigger or smaller. Okay, so it's a ratio that lets us know if a figure is getting bigger or smaller. Still with me? If the ratio is bigger than 1, and I'm going to put examples. 3/2 is bigger than 1. 4/1 is bigger than 1. 10/1 is bigger than 1. The figure will be an what? Go ahead, what's that? An enlargement. If that, it's not what I wanted to say. If the ratio is less than 1, 1/4, 1/3, 2/7, the figure will be a what? What will the figure be if that ratio is less than 1? A reduction. Questions there? Okay. That's the lesson for the day. We're going to do some practice all together.